Today we're going to talk about how to unlock your potential. And I was just telling some of the agents that are here that this is sort of the first time that we're having a pretty diverse audience. Thank you for coming to this event. Yeah. So we're here to learn about unlocking all your potential, but we're going to give about 5 minutes to each one of our guests to talk about what it is that means to be you in your day-to-day life. You're going to tell us some secrets, some maybe magic recipes for success that has brought you where you are today. And then we're going to break into some questions that I prepared. I have talked to them about some of the questions that I have, but then I have some other questions I have not shared with you, but it'll be fun. It'll be fun. And then we'll give you guys a chance to ask some questions to them. Okay. So Stacey Ryan is the president of School of Rock, which happens to be the most revolutionary music school in the world. A music education brand with 428 schools globally. She has 2 decades of experience in education-focused business. Stacey founded From Women That Work. I will encourage you guys to really look both of these wonderful individuals up, because you'll learn so much about how you can get connected with both of them. Stacey and her organization Empower Women in Leadership. Stacey is also a speaker on she's a speaker on leadership, culture change, and impact of music. I'd like to introduce you to Stacey, and she's going to talk to us about tell us all your secrets, Stacey. What is it like to be Stacey Ryan?
5 minutes? Not enough time. Hi everybody, thanks for coming. I look forward to talking to you. I hope you leave today with a little tidbit of inspiration or change, or just a small aha moment from us tonight. If we accomplish that, then we've done what we seek to do tonight. I think there's so much to your question. A day in the life that I have, it's like most of you in this room, I imagine. I watch the team of MDO every day and what they go through. It's hectic, it's challenging, and it's inspiring. I find a lot of purpose in what I do. I didn't always. I had a very long journey to where I got. I have changed significantly from who I was in the beginning of my career to who I am today, and I continue to reflect and grow because there's still more that I want to do and more that I want to become. Never stopping learning, never stopping challenging myself, never stopping self-reflecting, and looking back on what I see that I could have changed and could have done better, and also seeking the feedback, looking at it and asking others what they got from it, and asking truly with curiosity and open mind, not asking for the feedback and then challenging the feedback, like asking for the feedback and just shutting up and listening to it, because that is their perception. Whether I agree with it or not, there is some truth to it because it's their truth. So I think that there's so much that I've learned through my years from so many different experiences and people, and I'm going to stop there because I'm looking forward to digging in a little bit more with the questions.
Thank you, Stacey. I want to introduce you guys to also Mike Horn, 34-year mortgage veteran, 27-year leader. His leadership starts with service. He helps people uncover purpose. I am a key witness to that. So has Rodolfo. We worked with Mike Horn many years ago before. He helps people uncover their purpose, change limiting beliefs, and builds results that outlast any markets. I know this is so true. Mike integrates career and personal life in how he serves, aiming for growth in both. His mission is to impact, is fulfillment, and it's also a legacy that matters. Mike?
Great. Well, thank
Tell us
you.
a little bit about you, Mike.
Well, thank you for being here, everybody. And, you know, I look at, as I've tried to evolve and grow as a person, I've really looked at it as we're all on a journey, right? And for me, that journey is having better awareness around myself and who I am and what I can control and what I can't control. And really the only thing I can control in life is myself, and learning to let go of the things that I can't control and being accepting of where I'm at today. Doesn't mean that I'm satisfied or that I don't want more, but accepting myself. One of the things, and I believe that we're all leaders. Every one of us, everyone in here is a leader. We all influence somebody. And there's a lot of responsibility that comes with that, but there's also a lot of opportunity for us to make a difference in people's lives. And I really believe the reason why we're here is to make a difference in other people's lives. And so an acronym that I created about leadership and the way that I like to lead is SMILE. That's serving, mentoring, inspiring, learning, and encouraging. And that's kind of me. Yeah.
Awesome. Smile.
That's
Can you
right.
tell me what S means?
Serving.
Serving.
Yep. Putting others first. I believe that's what we do. We put others first. And if we're leaders, which we all are leaders, we're going to sometimes carry people, but we're also going to get out there and be point a lot of times and lead people, right? People are going to follow us. And so sometimes running point, if you're familiar with the military at all, you're going to be out in front. You might get shot sometimes, but what you're doing is trying to protect everybody else. So.
Thank you. So Mike, what inspired you to get involved into real estate? And that was 37 years ago? What was your motivation?
Yes, well, so August 30th of 1991 was my first day in mortgage. And it was funny. So I was working at a commercial real estate company that it didn't work out. I graduated school, started 3 days after I graduated, and it didn't work out at the commercial real estate group. And so my buddy said, hey, Horn. My last name is Horn. So, and instead of calling me Mike, everybody calls me Horn. So he's like, Horn, you got to go work with this company, Mission Hills Mortgage. They're owned by a real estate company, and the realtors just give you loans. And I thought, really? That sounds easy. And so I got into this easy business, right? Which wasn't the case. Most of you are realtors, I believe, in the audience, and you know that you don't just give somebody you don't know loans, right? And so I learned the hard way. But as I learned to work with buyers and realtors and understood that you need to build trust, and that trust is earning that. But I got into it thinking it was going to be easy, which it wasn't, and it hasn't been. I love it. And it's such an opportunity for me and for all of us to give back and to serve and make a difference in people's lives. We were just chatting, can't really see who I was just chatting with. Well, there we go, from citizens, and the opportunity for us to help create financial freedom for people. And if you look at finances, it's one of the #1 reasons why people have challenges in their marriages, in their personal lives, and to have an opportunity to make a difference for people from a financial perspective, not only that, but also delivering the dream of home ownership, for me, it's a really fulfilling piece.
Okay, well, thank you. If I may ask, Stacey, what got you into real estate? Sorry. So, yeah, you aren't into real estate, but I think we have some entrepreneurs here that aren't into real estate, and real estate is a very entrepreneurial business to begin with, because I think the number is 80% of realtors who start doing real estate don't make it. Is that an accurate number? It might be a little less, maybe 70%, Mike?
It's a high number of people that don't make it in both mortgage and real estate. It's a hard business to break into, but I just want to touch one more on this. And the reason why it's so difficult is because we have to get out of our comfort zones.
Okay, so getting out of the comfort zone, it's critical, and we'll talk about that in a moment, but I want to ask Stacey, when did you decide to become the president of a school of law? I mean, what day did you get up and say, hey, I'm going to be leading 428 schools worldwide? What happened? What inspired you to do that?
Not until I got into the organization. So I told this story briefly last night, and it's a long story, and I'll try and condense it. But I started my career, I went to school to be a kindergarten teacher, and I interviewed at the school where I basically had the job, and the smell of the cafeteria made me nauseous. And I had spent my whole life preparing to be a kindergarten teacher, always working with kids. And I realized something was wrong. And my mom said, pensions, great holidays, great pay. And I said, you just named all the wrong reasons to become a teacher. And for the first time in my life, I took a job not with children. And I worked in a small franchise home health aid agency. I realized I loved business and management, but I missed working with kids after a year. So I found my way to a supplemental tutoring company. I got an entry-level position. I was just their admin of the office. And my boss's boss came in my first week to meet me and sat across from the desk and said, tell me about your goals. What do you want to do? And I said, well, I want your job. And she looked at me wide-eyed, and I was like, I'm not saying I want to take you out. I'm saying I want to work up to what you're doing. I want to run a whole region here. I knew that day one in my very first organization. I wanted to climb. By the time I left, I was running the top region in that organization, but I left because of cultural issues. I was becoming, at a young age, a manager, not a leader, a manager that I was not proud of. I was looking in the mirror and I was not proud of the way that I was treating people because of the way I was expected to treat people. So I left, found my way to another organization, slightly better, but still not inspiring. So I decided to sign a franchise agreement. And I was going to run my own nursery school, preschool. And it was scary, but I just felt like corporate America wasn't the right place for me. So I was like, I'm going to create my own culture. So that's what got me to School of Rock, because I had to transfer my department. I couldn't be a corporate employee and a franchisee at the same time. I knew the new CEO at School of Rock. She had just started there. I reached out. I said, hey, I've got some time to kill. I'm going to start consulting. If you need any help, let me know. She said, hey, I want you here full time. Like, work with nobody else, start tomorrow. I said, okay. And I'll never forget standing in front of a mirror, trying to convince myself that I would still have impact on children's lives. I remember saying, okay, it's music education, but it's still education, Stacey. You're still enriching lives. And I'll never forget the moment where I realized at School of Rock I had the most impact and the potential to have more impact than anywhere else I had ever been in my career. And then I decided to leave an abusive relationship, cancel said franchise agreement with that person, fully commit to School of Rock, and I just love what we do, how we do it, who I get to do it with, and I knew that I just always wanted to do more and do more and do more. So I pushed, I climbed, I went out of my comfort zone, I spoke up. As a woman, like, it is not always easy. There is a significant, the pay gap between men and women just got wider this year in the census. So women get paid 80 cents on the dollar. That's fact. And it's getting worse, not getting better. And I would walk into these situations and advocate for myself and speak up and tell them, like, I have these goals, I have these aspirations, and I want to do it. And when I finally was given the opportunity to lead the organization, it truly became a dream come true for me. I really am blessed to be able to do something that I love and really fulfills me and gives me purpose.
Thank you. So, so School of Rock teaches on a presential process, right? So if you want to learn to sing, or if you want to learn to play the piano, the guitar, you go and you meet in front of a mentor or a teacher, so to speak, right?
Yeah, so we have instructors, so anyone can lead a band. We have adult bands also. And we do all the main instruments, so keys, vocals, bass, guitar, drums. And what happens is we have a one-on-one lesson with your music instructor, which are gigging musicians. We pride ourselves on being the largest employer of musicians after Starbucks. And then weekly, you have your band rehearsals. So once a week, you're getting into a room with your band and you're practicing your songs together. At the end of the season, which is about 3-4 months, you have a show. So we rent real venues, real stages in front of a real audience, and you're performing. And anyone in this room, we can have you performing Seven Nation Army in 45 minutes.
Wow. I think we're going to have a crash course on singing lesson today with Mike and Stacey. She's going to demonstrate.
I think the next event is a School of Rock.
Okay.
Rock 101 course.
Why not?
All right. This is being recorded.
You're going to come back to that?
Absolutely,
Okay,
absolutely.
All right, cool. I like that. 2020 hit the U.S. and everywhere in the world, and COVID took out the majority of businesses. Everyone who is here, I don't know if you guys were doing mortgage or real estate in 2020. I know I was. A lot of people suffered, and School of Rock was in fear of shutting down. So, Mike, if you had a School of Rock business, what would you have done to save their, I mean, we're talking about entrepreneurs here, and I know we didn't prepare for this, but what would you do if you had to teach kids how to play the piano, and now you can't go to play the piano, or the guitar, and now you can't go to play the guitar, or you gotta sing? What's one thing that you can do to save School of Rock from crashing down?
That's a great question. I don't know if I'm the one to answer that question, to be honest with you. That probably wouldn't be best answered by me. I mean, the first thing I would think, but not everybody would have the instruments maybe. Maybe they're all at the school, but I would think, online, obviously, but I don't know if that would really be the solution. So I think that's Stacey's the expert to answer that one, because I'm not going to answer that accurately.
Mike, I really appreciate your answer, and I know I cut you off guard, and I wanted to do it on purpose because of exactly that happens in the real estate world a lot, where people reach out to agents and they ask a lot of questions that they might not be qualified, but they still go through the census. So guys, let's hear Stacey what she has to say about how you save School of Rock from
you nailed it.
everything.
So, and I just want to point out his answer is so good. It's like, here's what I think, but I'm not the expert to answer that. Somebody else is, and that's not weakness. I think that's strength when you're able to say that. I'm not the best person. Here's what I think, but let's get you the right answer. But yeah, COVID was designed to destroy us. I mean, we're in the business of putting people in a room together, spraying vocal vapors into the air. And yeah, all of a sudden we couldn't do that. All of our schools had to shut down, and we are, out of our 428 locations, we own and operate 48. The rest are franchise. So those are people who have put their homes that you guys helped them buy on the line, and their lives on the line, and their 401ks, and they risked everything, and we're at risk of losing everything. So we knew we had to keep the music going, not just for that, but we also know that School of Rock is a place that serves significant mental health help for our communities, our students, our instructors, everybody who's involved. They need music, they need School of Rock. It's a source of peace for them and comfort for them. So we switched to Zoom, to online instruction, and we innovated like crazy. And every day we had calls with our owners, our franchisees who would come on and were like, who's doing what? What's working, what isn't working, and we would take things and systematize them and roll them out. The whole music industry shut down, so I knew that every single one of my friends that is a professional musician is all of a sudden off the road, home with nothing to do. And I remember pacing in your living room, dialing for dollars, every single one of those friends, and saying, I know you're home, and I know you're bored, and we've got 70,000 students that need us, like, can you help me? And we created a series, a weekly series, where School of Rock students only got to join and have Q&A sessions with, musicians that they were just inspired by, that they looked up to. And our first one was the entire Pink Band got on, and we're just talking to the kids and answering questions for them. And we did that for months, and we did our shows in parking lots, in movie theaters. Instead of shows, we got mechanical license to burn records, and we just did anything and everything that we could think of to keep the music going. And as soon as we were able to open our doors, our business just skyrocketed afterwards.
Okay. What you're describing, it sounds like in a different sort of spectrum is the same thing that agents and mortgage companies go through every day, Mike. I mean, we have rates. When rates go high, what happens to us? That's like COVID.
Yeah.
And affordability becomes difficult for buyers, so now agents also suffer.
Right.
Right? Mm-hmm. So can you tell us, how do you, tell us the secret sauce for success as a real estate agent when you have a COVID, a pandemic hit us? What should an agent do when you have the most difficult, challenging market?
Well, I think there's a few things. One, adapt, right? You have to adapt to your market. But first, it's controlling the controllables. At the end of the day, controlling the controllables. And that's us, right? That's our mindset. That's our actions. That's our thoughts. That's our beliefs. That's all we can control. I can't control the interest rates. So if the interest rates go to 10, I have two choices. Get out of the business or innovate, like Stacey said. It's a decision. Are you committed to this business or are you not committed to the business? If I'm committed to this business, I'm committed to a relationship, I'm committed to whatever it is, I need to live that commitment, right? And you're going to have challenging situations in any relationship, right? And your relationship that you have with your spouse or your significant other or your work, because work is a relationship. And you've got to be willing to adapt, evolve, and continue to grow, and you got to be open to that. And I think really for me, I can say for me, the biggest challenge that I face is always the one between my ears. There's really nothing we can't do, right? There's really, there's things, I can't slam dunk a basketball anymore, but most of what we say we can't do is really we won't do it, right? And so my thing is get between your ears, work on your mind, control the controllables, adapt to the situation, innovate where you can, and that would be my suggestions.
So, and a follow-up to that is,
sure.
How do you motivate and retain talent? And this is for both of you, because when you're going through a challenging market, it's easy to control the controllables. Mm-hmm. But one thing is to control the controllables, and another thing is to know that once you get up every day, rates are not going down, and you can't control that. But how do you keep motivated? How do you keep motivated when every country is shutting down and you can't teach kids? How do you keep yourself motivated when things are going down south?
You want to go first, or you want me to go first? For me, it's knowing my purpose. What's my why? Simon Sinek says it, start with why. And what's your why? What inspires me? And if my inspiration, which it is to make a difference in people's lives, I know in order for me to make a difference in anybody's life, I got to get up out of bed. And I'll tell you, there's plenty of days where I don't feel like getting up out of bed. There's plenty of days. But I know I'm responsible for other people. And having that responsibility for other people gets my sorry ass out of bed, right? Because there are days that I don't feel like it, but I got to get my one foot on the floor. That's my goal in the morning. 1 foot on the floor. And then I get the other one, and then I'm up and I'm going.
Yeah, what he said. No, in all seriousness, purpose protects. That's a motto that I have. Purpose protects. And, finding your purpose. And if you're lucky enough to have found that in your career, that's amazing. And if you haven't, that's okay also, but find where your purpose is. Find it in a hobby, in volunteer work, in something else, but purpose does protect all of those things. And To answer your question about how do you retain talent, I think it's, showing acknowledgement. So there's studies out there that show that people believe the most important things for employees is pay, PTO. Those are like the top, right? And when they actually survey employees, it's flipped. The things that they think are the most important, pay, PTO, are actually the least important. The things that they think are the least important are the most important. And that's feeling appreciated. That's feeling part of the conversation. That's feeling like they're making a difference. So reaching out to team members and asking them for their input on ideas. At the end of the day, saying, hey, great job, like thanks for today. I know today wasn't very easy. Sending my team, I grew our operations team from a team of 2 to a team of 22. Every single one of them gets a handwritten birthday card from me every single year. And I put that in air quotes because I have terrible handwriting, and I found an amazing website that I type it in, and it looks like beautiful handwriting. And they stamp it and they send it, but everyone gets that card. And if I know they're having a hard time, I send them a card. If I know they're having a surgery, I'll send them, flowers or an edible arrangement or something, but caring about them. I can't do anything that I need to do without my team doing what I need them to do. And they know that. They know that I am nothing without them. So we all play our role. We all are in that boat rowing in the same direction, but every seat plays a different role. Some are steering, some are pushing forward, some are, putting the coal into the fire. Like, every position has its purpose, and it's all needed to be successful. Your team should feel that way. And then, your team members who have the aspirations and that growth and that hunger and that desire, feed into that. But feed into it in a way where you're giving them honest feedback that they can really take and harness. I have a woman who, she's been wanting to be a VP since I hired her 3 years ago. She wasn't even ready to be a director. And I'm like, I hear you, I understand you, but here are the things that I need you to work on before you can get to that point. And this is why. Giving her that why behind it so that she understands it and she can internalize it and really make those changes. And not only has she moved into a director, but she is very close now to getting a VP title because of all the feedback that she's taken. But she wouldn't have gotten to that if I didn't have that hard conversation with her. So those hard conversations aren't always easy to have. And sometimes you feel like this is really hard for me to say, and it's hard for them to hear, so I'm just gonna not talk about it. That's not doing anyone any favors. So being honest and upfront with them, and if it's not the right business for them, also saying, maybe this just isn't the right role for you. This is where I see your strengths. Tell me what your goals are. Tell me what makes you feel good. So those hard conversations are really important because great talent has hunger and desire, and you have to be sure that you're feeding into that and you're helping them take those steps that they're looking for.
Mike, how do you empower, because I know that you've had sales staff, or I'm not going to even call it sales staff, but you had people that work with you in the hundreds. How do you keep everyone engaged and motivated, and how did you empower? How did you find the strength to empower people? Because what Stacey's saying, it sounds like what we all do at our homes, what we all ought to be doing at our homes, because that's your little company, no? I mean, right? Your husband or wife is your CEO, or you're the secretary. I don't know how the roles might go.
I'm the CEO.
Yeah, of course you are. But Mike, I just wanted to.
So before I answer that question, I actually had a question for Stacey. You can send edibles to your employees?
Edible arrangements.
Oh. I was like, I'm going to work for School of Rock. I'll take an entry-level position. I'll volunteer. So,
Sounds like somebody's paying attention.
So, I think the question was how do you empower, or how do you
find that because when you have so many employees, helping people find the why.
Yeah.
And I sort of wanted to ask you, because also money in sales,
Right.
everyone that's here and everyone that's watching this, and we were talking about this earlier,
Right.
is money, for some people, money is the why. And should money be the why?
Money is never the why. Money is never the why. Anybody that tells me that money is the why, I'm going to tell you why. Why is that? And it's because it makes you feel a certain way. It's giving you something. It's providing something behind what the money is providing. It's not the money itself, right? And so you need to get behind that and find out, hey, if I think it is the money, really, what does that money do for me? Does it make me feel a certain way? Right? Does it make me feel that I have more power? What is that feeling, right? What is that giving you that you feel might be it, right? So it might be, hey, I want it for the money, and okay, why? Well, that money is going to allow me to send my kids to the school that they want to go to, or it's going to allow me to buy my parents a home, or it's going to allow me to do something. So money, I've never seen money be the core reason. People will believe that's the core reason, right? And so I think it's identifying, why do you feel that money is going to make a difference, right? And I think for me, understanding each person's idea and definition of success for them is what I try to understand, and I try to help drive towards that, right? And so if somebody says, I want to serve 50 families in a year as a mortgage professional or as a real estate professional, that's fantastic. Let's back into that, right? And let's break that down, and let's do that on the daily basis. And so we know what we're doing from hour to hour, to day, and I'm going to hold you accountable, but I'm going to encourage you through that. I'm going to teach, I'm going to coach, I'm going to guide you through those things, because anything is possible when you start to break it down into bite-sized pieces. We talked about it today. You know, look, I might want to go to California, but I have to have a map, and then I've got to read that map, and I've got to follow that map. The map to success is just breaking down each little milestone so it's bite-sized pieces. It's not that hard. But when you're able to, and Stacey said a couple different things that I really liked. She talked about being part of something. Right? When people feel they're part of something, everybody wants to be part of something bigger. I think vision is a big piece, right? As leaders, we want to cast that vision. And what is your vision, right? And what is a person's vision, right? So I might have a certain vision for the group of people that I'm part of a team with, right? But they might have their individual vision, right? How do I help them achieve their individual vision, which will also be part of my grander vision, right? I don't want to say grander, that doesn't sound right, but a larger vision or different vision. But everybody has a vision for their life. How do I help people achieve that vision, right? And that's where I think when you do that and people recognize that this person cares about me as an individual, not themselves and what they're going to get from me. I think pouring into people as opposed to pulling away from people is really how you make a difference. And I think that's really where people feel community and connection with you. And connection is big. And we talked about COVID. I think one of the pieces about COVID that's made it the hardest is we've lost connection and community. And I think those are two things that we need as people, and we need as people who are in real estate, because it's easy, and when I say real estate, I mean mortgage as well. It's easy for us to get caught up working out of home and being isolated. And so even if you don't go in the office, my encouragement to all of us is to connect with a group of people, of like-minded professionals, so you have accountability, you have encouragement. There's going to be tough days. There's going to be days that we feel like, I freaking hate this business. There's going to be days like you feel like you're the only one getting kicked. And if you're not there with somebody else saying, well, you think that was bad? Listen to this. And then you're giggling with each other instead of crying. Right? So my encouragement for all of us is make sure that you are in community and connection with others, for sure. And I would say in our business.
Well, it sounds like Stacey's nodding yes, definitely, I agree with you on that. So
Yeah, community is the most special thing about School of Rock, and loneliness is an epidemic. Actually, It's literally killing people. So connection is so important. Community is so important. It's something that I'm passionate about, and that we are passionate about at School of Rock.
And as we go through real estate offices, I have been a witness of that. I mean, every office I go to where I see there's a community being built around others and not myself, as a need per se, like what it is that I want. It's you sense that people want to have a sense of belonging. So definitely, it's a great topic. We're talking about leadership, team management, maybe innovation and growth in a second. But before I do that, we got about 7 minutes left before we break it for questions. And we're going to be passing the microphone for questions. If you guys have questions, if you don't, then I do have more questions here. But what you guys talk about is so easy, right? I mean, just identify what it is that you need to work on your. But can you tell us how do you create a habit, and how do you become disciplined on? You make sure that you stay productive, focused, and energized in the business.
One of my favorite books is Atomic Habits by James Clear. You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. You create simple systems that allow you to succeed. You build momentum off of habits, right? And so you can stack habits. So let's say, for instance, I want to start getting into shape. And what I know I've done, and sometimes other people do the same thing, we create these outrageous goals. And we don't hit those goals in the first couple days of the new year, right? And what do? We give up on those goals. And so he being James Clear, will use this example. Start and do one push-up. One push-up. Don't aim for 100, do one. And when you get down on the floor and you do one, maybe you do 2 or 3, right? But you start to build that habit, and then you can build upon those habits. Habits create momentum, right? And set yourself up for success. Maybe you really love watching a Netflix show, but you want to get in shape. Maybe you put TV in front of your treadmill. I don't know. But you create systems for success. It's environment. Environment's going to dictate your habits. I was talking about I can't have Jenny's ice cream in the fridge because I'll eat that whole thing. And if you guys haven't had Jenny's ice cream, try it. High Five candy bar flavor. It's addictive, right? It's like black tar heroin. Not that I've done black tar heroin, but I can imagine that's what it would be like.
Cover my ears.
Right?
What?
It's amazing. But I think environment is really important. You've got to have your environment set up so you don't fall into the pieces that distract you from what you want to accomplish, and you put the things around you that you want to achieve that accomplishment. If you have trouble watching TV, which I can fall into that, I can sit there and watch Netflix for 3 hours, right? Take and hide the remote control somewhere, so like you're actually having to go chase down the remote, and you'll probably feel a little bit of guilt right there. Maybe that will stop you from getting it, but really it's your environment's a big thing.
I'll talk a little bit more from the professional component of it, perspective of it. So first, I think if you are the smartest person in the room, acknowledge that it's time to find a new room. If you surround yourself with, 6 overweight, unhealthy people, you'll be the 7th. If you surround yourself with 6 motivated, healthy people, you will be the 7th. That's proven. But you have to also learn where your habits are. So I have a habit of reacting over responding. It's a terrible habit. And I have to work fast. And I get really annoyed very quickly by certain people in certain situations. And I get, they call it keyboard warrior. I hit send. And I'm like, oh, I shouldn't have done that. I reacted. I didn't respond. So I have a Post-it note that has sat there for 8 years, still, right next to my computer screen in my office, and it says respond versus react. I have also set a delay on my sends. So I hit send, and I've got 2 minutes to get out of my dinosaur brain, which is your reactionary part, and to go in and hit unsend and change what I'm saying or how I'm saying it. But that took years of me acknowledging it and hearing that feedback and really self-reflecting on it and putting in those barriers that I know make me be a better leader, and find what those hurdles are for you, and there are tricks that you can put into place. I have also learned that I get a certain feeling, like I literally get like tingly in my tummy, and I get like my fingertips start to go numb. That's when I know that I'm not thinking with the right part of my brain. I am in reactionary mode. And I have learned, because in meetings, I can't hit unsend you can't unsend the things that come out of your mouth, right? Like once they're out, they're out. So I have learned in meetings, when I have that tingly sensation, I shut up. I shut my mouth. I sit back in my seat. Like I have physical cues for myself that make me just stop, process things so I can better respond and not react. So I think the way that you build good habits is first by identifying and being honest with yourself. What are your bad habits? And then, like what Mike was saying, what are the things that you can do that create barriers to break you away from those bad ones and push you more towards those good ones?
Thank you.
There's one thing that I want to comment with what Stacey said. It's the stimulus to response, because I can get the same way where I respond really quickly. Viktor Frankl has a great quote on this, but so I'm not going to give you the quote because I don't have it memorized, but it's just slowing down that stimulus to that response, just widening that gap so your response is more well thought out. Because I've said things that I've had to apologize a lot for, which isn't really the person that I want to be. I mean, I don't mind apologizing, but I don't want to be saying sometimes the things that I say, and that's because I've done it too quick of a response. So that's a great point that you make.
But that's important that you, like, taking that step and apologizing.
Mm-hmm.
If you know you did something wrong, own it. I just had to do it a few weeks ago. I reacted, I didn't respond in a meeting to, my right hand, my head of operations, and when we spoke, I said, hey, before we get into things, like, I owe you an apology. And he was like, thank you for saying that. I actually had it on my list to talk to you about. And I said, there were a million other ways I could have responded to it, and I reacted. And I'm sorry, I owe you that, because that was wrong with me. So it pains me to have to do that, to your point, which makes me want to make sure that I do everything to prevent myself from doing it again.
Wow, that's pretty powerful. I mean, acknowledging your weaknesses, it takes courage. We're going to open up for questions. If people have questions, and this is. We're going to have Juan around with a microphone, so please raise your hand. Don't feel bad or scared. I mean, we're here to just learn from Stacey and Mike, and everyone. And all your questions definitely will help everyone that's here.
Cool. Oh, my name is Breno, and pleasure to meet you all.
Nice to meet you.
I do have a company that me and my business partner run. And I started, I think, like 3 or 4 years ago. And as you start, you don't have much capital, don't have much cash. But you have that dream, and you have people that come into your business. And you want to promise them the world and give them the world because you know they're good and you love them being there. So, is there a way that I make, because I'd say, I know my employees are a lot more, they're worth a lot more than they are. How do I keep them? I'm afraid of them leaving before we really reach that pinnacle and I'm able to recompensate them. How do we do that?
Do you want to touch on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's an amazing question, and it's the right question to be asking. So first of all, like, it's great that that is on your mind. You're thinking about your people, and I think transparency is important, and letting them know, like, hey, here's our current situation, but here's where we're projecting, but here are the things that we need to do to get there. And it's the same way, like, when somebody has growth aspirations in a business, but the business can't support that growth. It's like, hey, like, I know you want to become full-time. Well, we need to reach this milestone before the business can support that. And here's some things that we can start putting in place and working on together to get there. So again, helping them feel part of the decision, part of the solution, right? And part of the team, part of something, and they know what that clear path looks like. I think my personal, I'm New York born, Jersey raised. I'm a very transparent person, and I always say in business, I feel like one day it's going to come back and bite me in my rear, but it hasn't yet, so I still go with it. So I think being transparent is incredibly important, and explaining to them. And then if somebody has that understanding, now they feel part of the solution and know that they can play a role in helping you get to that next point, which then brings them to that next point also. And saying, hey, what else are you thinking? What else is on your mind? What else do you think that we can do? So that's how I have handled it in the past. That's my preference, but I think every business is a little bit different. Every team member is a little bit different. And, you know, honestly, you may have some people that may leave. They may say, like, I don't want to have to work that hard. I don't want to have to wait that long. And you have to be okay with that also. And just have comfort, like maybe they're just not that right person. But I would start by like really setting, like, here are the milestones we need to hit for you to be able to reach that point that you want to reach also. How can we do this together and as quickly as possible?
I would also, and very good answers. I would also, you know, make sure that you're casting that vision for the company, but also how you see them in that vision and the opportunity that they have. People want opportunity. People will do a lot for opportunity, right? If you look at all the different startup companies, right, what were they offered? You know, stock, right, options, and that's opportunity, because it's low pay typically, but there's a huge opportunity, huge upside. And I think if you give people an opportunity, show them the opportunity and create that opportunity through your vision, I think that helps out a lot too.
Thank you. Thank you for your question. Juan, do you have a question?
Yeah. Being a business owner may be like the same as being a leader, or something like you want to become a leader, right? Which is different than being a manager. I'm an entrepreneur myself, and I've been since I'm 18. And I've faced frustration several times. And that's like the process of every entrepreneur. Things are going very great until they're not, right? And you're responsible for many people, employees. Several times I didn't pay myself to pay my team, right? Because as Stacey said, because of them, we're here. So my question is, how do you deal with frustration? Because frustration a lot of times, it's what stops you to reach your goals, right? So how do you deal with it?
You want to go or you want me to go?
I know how Mike does.
So, one of my practices, what I'm trying to get better at, is letting go. And there's a book by David Hawkins called Letting Go. And it's really being able to, kind of like Stacey said, you start to have that feeling, and you need to have that awareness that there's that feeling there. And sometimes you just have to let that feeling pass, and that frustration is that feeling, and you've got to let that pass sometimes, right? And then you can come back with a clear answer, a clear goal. And that's super easy to say. It's not as easy in practice. There's a lot of different times I get frustrated and respond the way that I don't want to. But I think really being aware that you have that and letting that feeling go, it's absolutely a practice to do for me. So that would be my answer right there.
Yeah, that's pretty similar. It's space. Take the space. You know, even if it's an email or a phone call, just saying, hey, I got this, I just need some time. I'll get back to you in the next, few days, so that they know you acknowledge it. But take the space. For me, I find it in walks with my dogs, dinners out with my loved ones, yoga. I love yoga. I go, it's just me and my mat. That's a good thing. So I think it's different for every person. It could be journaling. That's it for me as well. I think it's finding the thing that helps you let go and release it. And again, just see it from a different perspective. It helps you approach the situation from a much calmer place with a different mindset. And not every day is going to be easy, right? Challenges are hard. And I was just having this conversation the other day. Anytime I'm faced with a challenge that is frustrating to me because I don't understand it or I don't know it, I have flipped that script in my head and I say, okay, it's challenging because it's new, which means I'm learning something new, which means I'm adding more tools to my toolbox for future use. So I find it more, or approach it more from a place of gratitude, because I'm like, how lucky am I to be able to learn this new thing now and navigate this and now be able to understand it in the future. So I think a lot of it, to what Mike was saying earlier, a lot is, in your head, but it's a real thing. So you need to give your head the space to process it, to think of it, to see it from different angles, from different perspectives. We have a motto at School of Rock that is, maybe they're right. With many franchisees and business owners, there's a lot of opinions out there. And we don't agree with all of them, but we're also not the experts in everything. Nobody is. Nobody is. So I always joke there are days that you'll find me in my office in a corner, like in the dark, rocking, just saying, maybe they're right, like trying to get myself into that headspace, but maybe they're right. So giving yourself the space to kind of just think about it differently and approach it differently. Right. And it's also Han's birthday for those of you that don't know.
Happy birthday, Juan. Looking ahead, we have a few minutes before we end, but looking ahead, what major trends do you guys think will transform the industry? And of course, amongst us is a lot of people that is very interested in real estate, so we don't have to keep it at that, but I know that everyone would love to be able to hear from a 37 years of experience, mortgage and real estate expert. What do you think, looking ahead, Mike, of again, not in 1 or 2 years, because we spoke about this, but 5 to 10 years?
Yeah.
What are the major trends that are transforming the industry that you think we all should be prepared to face?
It's an interesting question. We've gotten more and more technology, right, in our industry. AI is a huge part of it right now. Do I believe that's going to have a huge impact? I do, but I'll also challenge all of us with this. As we've seen technology integrate more into real estate and more into mortgage, the cost of a mortgage has gone up. The cost of real estate has gone up. So technology has also increased pricing in all aspects of our business. Now, what I would say is hopefully we can create some efficiencies with AI. The whole piece of AI, and I believe that's going to impact our industry greatly over the next 5 to 10 years. But the goal is, if you don't adapt it or adopt to it, and I think you should adopt to it, is it's going to allow us to be better advisors. It's not going to replace us. It's going to free up time so we can go deeper with our clients, so we can spend more time working directly with clients and understanding really what their goals are, what their dreams are, and how we can fulfill those, as opposed to maybe working in the stuff that we don't like to work in. I think it's Gay Hendricks wrote the book Genius Zone. I think that's the author. It's really like, how do you find your genius and exist in your genius so what you're doing is the most fulfilling and giving you the highest return on your energy, right? So you're the most impactful. And the other stuff that you don't like, you could probably give to AI or a virtual assistant or whatever you want to do, or have technology do it. But at the end of the day, we want to be able to be better advisors, and I think that's where we're going, I believe. I think there will be less realtors and less loan officers because a lot aren't going to adopt to AI, and you're going to, if you do, you're going to be able to serve more clients. That means the people who aren't going to be able to serve as many clients. And so I do think that there will be more realtors, or less realtors, doing more business. Does that make sense? And I think there will be less loan officers doing more business because of those things.
Great. Okay, so that question was a question that was being led by marketing into SEO and using AI for captive audiences, and at School of Rock, and even in the mortgage business and real estate business, would you would you prefer that you are marketing to customers and to consumers through social media versus networking events? What's your predominantly best way for anyone that's here that wants to, reach their audience, whether it's hiring more realtors or hiring more, or getting more students at School of Rock?
Yeah, I mean, for us, it's a balance. I don't think it's very different, but at School of Rock, everything starts with a lead, right? Somebody who calls and is interested in our program. I have to imagine it's the same, right? Someone calls and is interested in finding a home and buying a home. We know that our digital leads cost significantly more and convert at a lower rate. So, it's important to have that presence because we get a large amount of leads that come in from our digital presence, but our leads that we connect with on a local basis through community events, through being out there, through talking with people, they convert at a much higher lead. They are customers with us much longer as well, and they cost significantly less. So I think it's important to have the balance and making sure that your local presence is significant. It shouldn't be minimal. It should be quite significant. You should be out there talking to people, having those conversations, building relationships. Relationships is really what's going to change, I think, all businesses. And that's where the differentiating factor is going to come in, that connection that you can make.
Thank you, Mike.
Well, I think, kind of like Stacey is saying, you have to do both. At the end of the day, if you're not doing social media, you're not building a brand. And brand is kind of everything now. I mean, it really is. Whether we like it or we don't, you got to be on there. And there's different ways to build that brand, and there's different ways to do it. I know sometimes it looks a little showy, and sometimes it can be showy. I don't think it needs to be showy. It can be very educational. It can be very real. So I do believe that you need to be on social media, but I also believe that you need to be networking face-to-face. I just think the combination is really where it's at. And you allow the technology to do the stuff that is the busy work that you don't have to do. That's the beauty of what's happening right now.
Okay, well, I have a challenge for some of you guys that are here. Who in here uses LinkedIn? I don't see many raised hands. Okay, 1, 2. If you guys want to follow Mike Horn and Stacey Ryan, I challenge you guys to log into your account and follow them. They have wonderful videos. I know that Stacey also has some podcasts, and so does Mike. Very, very cool videos that you can really grab on, things that will definitely help you guys do better with your clients. But I also want to encourage you guys to, if you're interested in having MDO Mortgage collaborate with you to help your clients, we'd love to be able to have we'd love to be able to be your partner into creating that strategy for success. And we will be showing up a QR code that you guys can scan. And I want to end with Michael and Stacey are wonderful human beings who I know that you guys service a greater self than you. It's yourself, you're empowering your team players at School of Rock, and Mike is always empowering his team players at work. And I want to thank you both for taking busy time out of your day to come in and talk to us about this, which I know it's important. It's how do you unlock your potential, and that is by serving others. That's from my take today. From what I hear from you guys is you unlocking your potential by serving a greater purpose, and that's serving others. Thank you all for coming in, and see you next time.
Thank you.
I do have a question for you guys. We were in a meeting this afternoon, like with around 50 people, and I learned something today. It's really important that all of you got something from this, right? And the manager of the office asked his audience, can you give me 4 examples of something that you learned today? So I would like to know that first. Someone want to say something?
Wow, we got one brave woman here from the audience. That's lovely.
We like it.
Oh, I like that.
Love it.
Wasn't expecting anyone to raise their hands, but that's great. Thank you.
I love that challenge, actually. What did you learn today? Like, what did you take from a meeting with someone, you know, these 2 very intelligent people? But I took 2 things. First of all, the books. I'm a big book fan, so Letting Go and Genius Zone. I will check those out for sure.
Good.
And also, I love it's challenging because it's new. I have to approach more things with gratitude. I also own a business too, and it's challenging at times. So, and also in the franchise industry as well. So constantly challenged by franchise owners. So I love that one. I'm taking that with me. Thank you.
Awesome.
Thanks for sharing.
Thank you so much. And for those of you who want to get the list of the books that Mike mentioned, we have that list. So reach out to us, and we'll be glad to pass it on to you guys.
We're still missing 3.
All right, so some of the stuff that I was able to learn that you guys spoke about was how do I help someone to get to their vision? That was big. People like being part of something and appreciate and acknowledge what they're doing. Make everyone feel special. People like the community feeling and gratitude.
Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
We have, oh, sorry.
Cool. All right. So I think the biggest thing here I learned is that learning to let go when things don't go the way you expect, and understand that I can only control what is controllable. You know, it's really important.
Thank you so much.
Well, I can also say something. You can have goals, but you have to create habits to make it happen. If you don't change your behavior, you won't get there. And then you will be complaining, yeah, but I never get there. It's because you didn't change your habits. You have to make it happen, but you're the only one responsible for you.
Thank you. Okay, this is getting really exciting.
All right, guys. I've been with Mike, I know Mike for a long time, but what I really took on his trip today, and I hope everyone can internalize this, one of the biggest things that I took is why. And this is where we need to understand what our why is. What is our purpose? Why do we get out of bed every day? Why do we do what we do? Once we understand that, once we understand the why to our customers, the why to our families, we serve a greater purpose. It's really like what Mike was saying, and Stacey, is really not the money. Once we find out our why, we're going to be serving a much greater purpose, and that's what I took from Mike, and that was my big takeaway.
Thank you.
We also have something for you guys.
I didn't mention that.
Yes, you did. A little bit, but go ahead, sorry.
Well, it's a QR code, but we have set aside for you guys some marks that we love you guys to take home on the way out. Okay, to fill with 2 things, chocolate and love. So please take them.
Chocolate is love.
Chocolate is love.
One more question.
One more question.
Yeah.
One more question before we go.
Yeah.
I think this is really something that's going on social media right now, especially for me, like as a young entrepreneur. I don't know if it's right or wrong, but I tried it in Phil in the past, which was like the sacrifice they had to put in, and I understand they had to put the sacrifice, and how do you deal with burnout. And because when I was starting, the idea that was thrown on me is like, you gotta sleep 3 hours a day, and eventually you'll get there. And I understand that's not sustainable. And but is that something that seasons that is gonna happen for the rest of your life? Like there's specific seasons that you're gonna have to do that, or is it something that you never do? You just keep consistent. And it's gonna work in someday, or would you always grind and never sleep?
Here we go.
Go for it.
Okay, so first thing, whoever told you that 3 hours of sleep is enough and all you need, there's this great book called Why We Sleep. Gift them that, read it yourself. Like, absolutely not. That's a terrible advice. You need the sleep. That is when your brain rests and recharges and actually like absorbs the information from that day. The question about like, is it always going to be at that pace? I love this because I ran a front women call, and all the women and men, please come and join this group. And it was a panel of really incredible women talking. This question came up about work-life balance. And balance is this perfect scale, right? That is always perfect. That is not realistic. It's not realistic to even try and obtain that. So this woman who was an A&R for a very well-known guitar company gave this analogy, which I absolutely loved, and it's never going to be balance, it's going to be rhythm. And your rhythm is going to change. You know, I can tell you this team was in a very high-paced rhythm today. And what that meant is that my rhythm had to be a little bit slower because, you know, we have 3 dogs that needed to be taken care of and other stuff that had to happen. But then there are times where my rhythm is much higher, and my partner has to, you know, he has to slow it down a little bit to you know, balance that side of us. So your rhythm is always going to change, and just finding comfort in that. Like sometimes it's going to be at a higher pace, sometimes it's going to be at a slower pace. But trying to find that perfect balance is never going to happen. You're chasing an invisible monster that you're never going to find, and it's going to create that frustration for you. The other thing is, like, you are no good to anybody, including yourself, if you're not well rested. You have to take the time to recharge. And, you know, I travel a lot for work, and, you know, people ask me about days off, and I chuckle. I'm like, what's a day off? You know, I'm always on my email, and I know you guys are also. Like, I'm always there, but I make that choice. But there are also times where I wake up, and I'm like, I need a day. I need a break. And I accept that, and I look, and I'll clear my schedule, and I'll do those things like the yoga, the walking with my dogs, the journaling, those things that I know help me recharge so that I can function properly. Because if I'm not at my best, I'm no good to anybody else. So trying to run on fumes, you're gonna, not only are you hurting yourself, you're hurting the others that you're engaging with also. So you have to prioritize that time, and it may look different. You know, it may come at different hours of the day, different days of the week. There is no cookie cutter solution to it, but I think finding that rhythm for yourself and prioritizing that recharge time is incredibly important. And sleep, you need to sleep. It's really important.
Make hay while the sun shines, baby. That's what that's what I say. No, get after it when the sun shines. That's right. It is going to be seasonal for you. There's going to be times where it's like, you know what, I am getting less sleep or I'm working more hours. But Stacey said a lot of things that are super accurate, and you can't take care of others if you don't take care of yourself. And if you're not getting the sleep, if you're not getting the exercise, what I like about yoga or surfing, I like to surf, it gets you to where you have to be focused just on that thing. You can't be thinking about anything else. And when you do something, whatever you get lost in, do that daily, because you've got to get out of that work mind, because that's going to allow you to get back and be more creative. And that's why you have all these different people that spend time in meditation. because it allows them to clear their mind and then come back more refreshed. And so I agree, 3 hours of sleep, I mean, maybe that's going to happen once in a while, but it shouldn't be a consistent thing that's going to be really ineffective in your life, and it's not going to do very well for your health long term. So if you want to be here for a long time, I would absolutely encourage more sleep, for sure.
All right, guys, well, the time's run out. I encourage you guys to scan the QR code if you'd like to get a free coaching for your business. And thank you for coming, Mike and Stacey. Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
The free consultation, the idea is to take what you learn here, come to us, scan the code with goals set, and we give you coaching and build with you the tools and the habits that we need to make it happen. So please take advantage of it.
Thank you, Juan.
Thank you, everyone. A lot of sitting today.